Hi, I'm Colin Heaps. This is my video for Enhancement 3 in CIT 336. This week I made a couple new views for the Acme website. We have a login view and a registration view, and I changed some things here in the connections folder. I made a controller over here and a model, and I'll explain a little bit about these. So the controller is going to receive action keys from these other views, which it'll put into the switch statement, and if it is any of these things, then it pulls up the certain views I'm wanting to see. For example, like over here in the login view, I've made this form, some buttons and stuff, and you notice the link here is just going back to the root Acme, down to the control statement, index, right there, and then it's saying it's taking the action keyword, assigning registration to it, and passing it over to the control over here, which it then gets put into here as registration was the one on the other one. There's one called login, one called home as well here, but it gets put into there, goes down here, and it's like, oh, that was a case registration, so it pulls up the registration.php right there. That's what would happen if you were to click the button on my login page. Let me show you a little bit of how all that works. So here we're at the home page. If you were to click my account, here shows what's going on. It's going to that root folder, Acme, into it, goes to the control index.php, gets action of login, sends that over to the control. It says login, tells it to pull up the view login.php, and so that pulled this up. Here's my form. Users can fill it out, and they'll be able to log in later. Right now it doesn't do anything there. If they're not a member, then click register here. That does the same thing, goes to the root, the control, gets registration, sends it over, pulls up my registration page where they can fill out all this stuff and register. And right now that doesn't do anything either, but it will in the future. I also changed this menu that's on all of them. These links also work from wherever. You hit that, goes back to here, register goes to there, home works on all of them, and this menu is the same on all of those. If you notice, it's different than it was before. That was created here as well. It's actually going to the categories table that was over in the database you can view in PHPMyAdmin. It's getting the categories from, it goes down here, gets the miscellaneous category stuff is what it was. But anyway, gets the names. This is creating it into a list. This goes to the get categories function that's over there in that database, puts it into categories, takes a nav list, and makes this nav list makes an unordered list of those categories, and then I can then just take this line of PHP and post it into my nav, and can comment out all the other stuff. So then it'll just go back, reads this, and then it pulls up the menu instead of me putting in all that other stuff. So then we have this now, it works. One weird thing about that though is, okay, I'm gonna test all this code to show that it's valid. But this, if I were to copy all this code and then put it in the validator, it doesn't work because of this, because it still just sees it as HTML, and that's not allowed in HTML because it can't read the PHP file extension. So I'll just be using the validator web tool thing in this Google Chrome. And I had originally designed my website here in Firefox, so it looks all nice and neat here. A little weird in Chrome, some of the things don't cross over for some reason. I want to show this real quick. This is all pretty, looks good. It's nice how it should be in Firefox. For Chrome, that doesn't come through for some reason. But the CSS is the same, so when I validate it, it should just be fine. Validate local CSS. Congratulations, no error to show. So that works fine. Then the HTML for the home page, let's check it. It says completed, no errors or warnings to show. Now let's check the login page. HTML. Oops. Right there, completed, no errors or warnings to show. And now the register page. Again, all this looks nice in Firefox. It's just easier to check things over here because I can use this tool. The one in Firefox wasn't working correctly because it's going to a local thing, and I don't know. Firefox is kind of weird. I use Chrome usually, I just haven't for this. So no errors or warnings to show. And there's also, I'll show you in here so everything comes up better. In the connections PHP that I did last week, all these databases, they now also point back to the root folder here, goes back to the host acme, and then sends an error one over instead. So I can just come back here, the index part. If I were to say action equals error, it would pull up. They would be sending this error key over, and that would go into the control statement, and then it pulls up my error page. It's like that. I believe that is everything from this week. And that was changed in all of these.